All right, brakes on a Ranger. Let's get right into it. This is my 2006 Ford Ranger, and I'm doing front brake pads on it. The process for doing brake pads on a Ranger is going to be pretty much the same for any Ranger out there. So even if the year of your vehicle is different, this process will be the same. Make sure if you're working on the vehicle, you throw jack stands under it because you want to be safe. Make sure if your jack gives out, the vehicle doesn't come down and crush you. Start off by popping the hubcap off, pop the lug nuts off, and pull the tire off. And then I'm using an air ratchet, but you could just use a normal ratchet to remove the caliper bolts. There's two of them. There's one up top here and one down low. I like to set a 5-gallon bucket up underneath the vehicle so that I can set the caliper on without stretching the flex line too bad. I use a flathead screwdriver to pop the caliper off. And then pop the old brake pads out. I use the screwdriver to pop the old metal clips off. And then you want to pull these pins out. There's one at the top and the bottom, and you want to make sure that they're not seized up. These need to move freely back and forth because the caliper needs to be able to slide as the brakes are being pressed and as the brake pads are wearing out. So I pull them both out and clean them off with brake cleaner. Dry them off real good and then apply fresh grease. When you reinstall them, make sure that this little rubber boot is not ripped or broken and that it's pushed up on both the mounts for the caliper and the start of these pins. These are important to keep the grease in and the dirt, debris, and water out. Install the new metal clips. Sometimes you have to bend these a little bit to get them to fit in just right. And then pop the new brake pads in. Sometimes these can be a little tight and a little tricky. I have had to grind the ears down on the brake pads just a little bit to get them to fit, but if you get one side started and push down and press the other side in, they usually go in all right. This is what the new brake pads and clips look like installed. Next, you need to compress the piston on the caliper. You can do this with a rental tool from the parts store or a C-clamp, or I'm just using wood clamps here. These don't have quite as much power, so I had to use a couple of them. But I always undo the cap on the brake reservoir. I don't know if it actually helps, but just so there's a place for the brake fluid to get pushed back up into. Once they are compressed, you just slide the new caliper over and install the two bolts, one at the top and the bottom, that go into the pins. You do want to make sure that the pins are lined up right on the caliper. They usually have a flat on one side that line up with the flat on the caliper. These bolts are not very big, so they don't need to be super tight. Just get them nice and snug. And then it's time to roll the tire into place. Throw the lug nuts back on. Throw the hubcap back on. And just like that, the one side is done. Ready to go to the other side. Each side took me about 10 or 12 minutes to do, and you really save a lot of money just doing this yourself. I ordered these parts, these brake pads, on Amazon. It's cheap, it's quick, you save a lot of money, and it's maintenance that needs to get done to make sure your vehicle lasts for a long time. This Ranger has 275,000 miles on it because I just take care of it, do all the maintenance, and it just keeps on rolling. Thanks for watching. I hope this helps. If you have any questions, drop a comment. I'll do my best to answer.